obviously last match against the Bucks, but what I'm really curious about is how much do you remember about the first match you ever had in front of people? Like, is that still a memory in your brain, or have you had so many matches that you don't even really remember it anymore?
No, I remember it was Channel 5, Memphis, Tennessee, with Lance Russell, at the helm there, and it was Jim Hellwig and me.
So the
For
Blade
those
Runners,
who know,
right?
yeah, well, it was before the Blade Runners. We were the Freedom Fighters.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we wrestled Davey Haskins and another guy that his name I've forgotten. I don't remember his name for so many years. But anyway, yeah, I remember that. It was a 2-minute tag match, and we came in and we were supposed to just kind of squash these guys, and we did. I remember that. It was at the little tiny studio, Channel 5 in Memphis.
Wow. Were you guys already wearing the paint at that point? Like, was that already a decision you had made,
No,
or did that come later?
no paint at that point. We were just like these white meat baby faces, as green as can be, not at all ready to do what we were doing. We looked the part, but that's it. That's where it ended. We were both so green. So it was, I think that was with Jerry Jarrett, and we lasted about 3 months. I separated my shoulder really bad. We started Thanksgiving Day 1985, that first match. That's exactly when it was. And it was
Wow.
at Channel 5. And then that night, we did a show in, where was it? Somewhere in Alabama. It doesn't matter. But anyway, that's where it all started. And 3 months later, I separated my shoulder, and Jerry Jarrett walked in the dressing room, and Jim Hellwig was, by then Eddie Gilbert was sort of managing us, and so Jim and Eddie went to the ring, and they were doing some kind of weird scenario, and Jerry Jarrett has his little notebook, and he's got this little dip in his mouth, and he real casually says, "Thing, we're going to have to finish you guys up." I go, "Finish us up? What does that mean?" He goes, "Oh, we got to let you go, but I'm not just going to let you guys go. I'm going to place you guys if you're willing. I got a place that you guys would be a good fit for, Bill Watts territory." So we were shipped off to Bill Watts from there.
Wow. I had no idea you guys went under a different name before the Blade Runners. Is that
Yeah,
something you
Freedom Fighters, Flash Borden, and Jim Justice.
Oh, those were your names? Which one were you?
Flash Borden.
Oh,
My
that's
last
amazing.
name is Borden, and of course I was
Oh,
after the
oh my God, I thought you said Flash Gordon, like the movie character.
No, but that's actually where I got the idea from. I just there was something about the name. So okay, Flash Gordon, I'm gonna be Flash Borden, And Jim was Jim Justice, and gosh, we did that, and then we switched to gimmicks and went to the Blade Runners, and I actually gave Jim his name, Rock. So he was the first Rock.
Yeah, I know. You even mentioned that I think it was your Hall of Fame speech where you were like, he was the Rock before the Rock was the Rock, or something like that.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I would have said that at the Hall of Fame speech. I could have, but I kind of doubt I would have done that. But
And I'm paraphrasing, my memory is not perfect, but I do remember you mentioning it at some point,
yeah,
like you're Rocky and he was Rock or something like that. It was something in relation to Dwayne.
yeah.
But wow,
I've said it
that's
on and off over the years, so I don't know which time.
yeah. So a lot of your training kind of just happened on the job then, huh? Since you guys started like in front of fans and everything so early.
Absolutely. We went through a wrestling camp in Northridge, California. Red Bastine, who was still an active agent for Vince Sr. during those days, and Vince Jr. was just taking over. But yeah, we went through this camp. It lasted. It was like 60 or 90 days, and Jim wasn't even a part of the camp. I met Jim about a year before that, only because I co-owned a Gold's Gym in Reseda, California, But the guy that co-owned it with me was a guy named Ed Connors, who was the treasurer of Gold's Gym in Venice Beach. And he introduced me to Jim Hellwig about a year earlier. Jim had just won the Mr. Atlanta, I believe it was, bodybuilding competition. And these Rick Bassman, I don't know if you know Rick, but Rick came in with 3 other big dudes and trying to find a 4th guy to recruit onto his team, and they were trying to break into pro wrestling. I didn't know what pro wrestling was. Honestly, I had no idea. Hulk Hogan would come into the gym, people would freak out. I didn't know who he was. He's the guy from the Rocky movie. Okay, I know him from the Rocky movie, but I don't know who Hulk Hogan is. And so, but anyway, Rick was trying to recruit a 4th guy, and we had a big Jim Hellwig kind of a guy named Ed Brock, and Ed just went AWOL. He just disappeared. And I called Jim. We got halfway through the camp, and I said, I got a buddy of mine that I met about a year ago, Mr. Atlanta. I'm going to call him and see if he's willing. And it just so happened that Jim had tried to break into pro wrestling in Atlanta with the Andersons, and, you know, they stretched Jim and they messed with him, and he threw in the towel and said, I'll have it for me. But I called him about a year later and said, hey, we're going through this camp. Remember me? I'm the guy you met, Gold's Gym, Ed Connor's friend. Do you want to do that pro wrestling thing? And he, yeah, I'm coming. So we went through the camp, sent out a press kit with with 4 of us, and Rick Bassman as the manager. And I'll never forget, we got a phone call. Ed Brock, he was AWOL, one of the other guys. All the other guys just sort of like disappeared. And Jim and I, we sent these press kits out, even to Japan, everywhere. And we got one phone call back from Jerry Jarrett, and he took us in, and that's where it all started.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you know, it's all about who you know and the right timing, right?
Yep.
That's amazing.